aiming for perfection, I'm never going to post. And that's what happened in my previous YouTube eras, that I was never posting because I was comparing myself. I was not seeing the value in what I was explaining. So I was just not creating. And that's what we don't want to do.
That's the worst of all, right?
Exactly.
Like that's the worst case scenario, that you don't have anything to show for that expression or that desire. And I think honestly, now that we're talking about it, like comparison is perfectionism. Like it is like a version of that. And that leads us to my next point, which is basically like, I feel like perfectionism is the problem. And at the heart of us, our lack of creation, I feel like it comes from this one, the status quo, that idea that there is some right version. And then it's like, okay, how do I become that correct version? And then we're trying to aim for something that doesn't exist. And the reality behind anything that you deem as perfect is that it had a lot of trial and error that you may or may not have seen. And there is no one path to it. So I feel like perfectionism leads us to a few scenarios. One, we never have all the information because we're so focused on the outcome. Like when we see someone who has something we want, or we see an outcome that we like, we're like, oh, to get there, I must do X, Y, and Z. And it's kind of this quick gut reaction that we don't even investigate. Like perfectionism doesn't make you curious. It makes you more rigid. I think it makes you stay in line. And that's not how you're going to get to the creativity and authenticity that you see these, like, your favorites have, you know?
There's no sense of play.
There's no sense of play. You're not trying to investigate. You have something in your brain, and it's like your confirmation bias is on overdrive. You're trying to confirm what you already believe, and you're not curious. And that's the problem. You're like killing all of the information that you could use to get you there, because you're thinking there's only one route. You're thinking the only route is C. You're going to disregard A. You're going to disregard B. You're going to disregard D. And then what if like the route for you is like X? And you're so focused on this one that you refuse to look at the other pieces of information. One huge piece of information I was missing, like in my journey, I hadn't gone through anything I wanted to talk about yet. And I feel like that could be the case. I just never considered that because I was so focused on like, oh, lifestyle content is doing well, I'm going to do lifestyle content. And yes, again, like you were saying, there's parts of Nathaniel Drew's content that you resonated with, like his philosophical meaning of life kind of content. And for me, there's a bunch of lifestyle stuff I resonated with. I love watching a morning routine. I love watching like how people go to work and dress up for the day. But that's not what I wanted to say. That's not what my message was. And I'm completely missing the mark, literally, because I hadn't even acquired the information yet, because I had to live those 2 years of my life where I wasn't creating to be the creator that I am today. You know, like it was required. So you're missing information. And then one thing that I just like, I hate to see it, and I hate when I do it to myself, is like, because you're missing the information, you start accumulating unnecessary things. Like you start adding on things that you don't need. So you're wasting time on courses, you're wasting time looking at other people's content, or you're waiting on this to happen. You're waiting on the audience to come to you. You're waiting on you to be in the perfect scenario for you to pitch.
Yeah, the perfect moment.
Or I'm just waiting. And that's a kind of defeatist victim mentality. Like, oh, this hasn't happened to me yet, but this person got lucky. And I think the irony is you have to put more out there. You have to fail more. You have to do the wrong thing multiple times before you find the right thing, or you have to talk to 10 people that don't get you nowhere to get to the one person who does. And it's all connected. And you won't see that if you're so stuck on, it has to be right. It has to be this way. This is the only way to do it. And that is like to me, like I can't see a bigger killer of creativity than thinking that there has to be a right way to do something.
Connected to that, I was talking, I think, with a friend recently of like, creativity is chaos. So like, you cannot envision creativity as a straight line of, okay, step one, step two. No. It's like your brain is gonna take things from this thing that you remember from a trip or this thing that you explored with a friend, and then you're gonna put it together and create something new. So if you're thinking in a rigid way, or you're trying to follow the steps that someone else says that worked for them, and that you think that, okay, if this has worked for this person that has X, Y, and Z goals achieved, then that's going to work for me. But no, you have to create your own way. And as you create, that's going to be your right way because it's connected to you, you know?
I love that. Yes. And I love that we talked about that. Like, there is no other correct way other than your own. Like, your journey to it was the right way because everybody's journey is different. Like, if you look at the details of everyone's journey, it's so different. Somebody had the one moment where they talked to a friend that changed their life. Somebody had that one moment where they posted a video and it was a mistake and it was an accident. And that's the one that, you know, got them to 1 million followers. Like, everybody has their unique story. So how can you find your way into your own is that you just have to say, like, hey, I'm trial and erroring. I'm going to put this video out. I'm going to make this song. It feels right or it doesn't feel right. And you keep adjusting. But to me, to simplify the creative process in my mind, I'm like, go towards what feels good. Don't go towards what doesn't feel good. Literally just keep doing that. The further and further you get, because I said this in the last episode, but like, I feel like we know more of the answers than we think we do. And we think we have to look externally. We think we have to learn somebody else's style or develop this routine or whatever. That is, again, you're not practicing your authenticity muscle. So you're not discovering your own routine. You're trying to take an example of what's already done. And those can inspire you, yes, but there's no way around the hard part. There's no way around trial and error. And I think the kind of like bad rep that failure gets is that it sucks. Like, the whole time it sucks.
Yeah.
And really, you can just reframe it to like, it's you playing. You're just having a good time. Like, when kids play, there's no like, oh, this toy sucks, that one doesn't. They just kind of like put things together in a way that like makes it work. And that's literally what we're doing with our life and our art. So, and our creativity. So just.
Yeah, it's more of seeing it as, I'm going to explore. I'm going to give myself the permission to explore, because sometimes we feel like, okay, we need to be gaining money to be able to be creative, because then we can justify that we're creative. But when we're kids, like, we're not justifying what we do. We just start drawing or start dancing or start singing because it comes natural to us. And I think, like you said, we have to unlearn. And when we're kids, we know more than we know now. And the process of life is just, okay, let me unlearn everything that they've told me that is right or wrong. Let me hear my voice. Let me hear what I want to say to myself, to others, and let me know myself better and practice my authenticity better, and not think about how I should be doing my life or my creativity, but rather what comes natural to me. So it's back and forth from unlearning, relearning. So a lot of inner work, I think.
And even up until this day, like, I recently I think I told this to you, but I realized I don't want to be a coach, and I don't want to be this like kind of like CEO in terms of like, I have an agency and I have a coaching business and I teach you about marketing and social media, which I love social media and I love marketing. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's obvious for me. But I had to unlearn even that version of entrepreneurship. I'm like, oh, to be an entrepreneur, you have to have something serious. You have to have something like, okay, a little bit of play. But in my mind, I couldn't just be a creator. I couldn't just have a podcast. I couldn't just be putting out my art. Like, that was, it wasn't allowed for some reason. And that was a rule I made up. Like, I just saw how everyone else did it. And I'm like, oh, everyone who's a social media manager, if they want to start their own business, they just make an agency. They just become a coach and like start selling their own services. So that's the right way to do it. And in that process, like, now that I'm like a full-time creator and like really embracing it and really trying to give it a try, I'm like, wow, I'm going to be able to put out so much art this month or over the next few months. Like, that wouldn't have that just wouldn't have happened. I was very inconsistent in those periods where I wasn't creating, kind of, but I was still inconsistent like this year because I was so focused on other things. I need to be this person. I need to show up as this person. I can't be too silly. And I'm just like, I think there's a benefit of pushing yourself and like, why? Like, why can't you? Like, kind of pushing the boundaries with your own boundaries. Like, why do you believe that? Where does that come from? Because I think a lot of times if you question where it comes from, it's from a friend or your mom or your dad.
Surroundings.
People around you, people with limiting beliefs. And if you are getting those ideas from other people, just make sure the people that are giving you those beliefs are people you want to be like, because there's nothing worse.
I think like limiting beliefs is like, we're always thinking that other people that are successful or are lucky, like you said before, it's like they have something I don't have. That's also a limiting belief because they started somewhere, put in the hard work, and then they reached X goals.
Yes.
And they did have to put the hard work. Like, we don't see it because it's behind the scenes, but it's there.
Right.
And like, I think trying to reprogram your limiting beliefs, or trying to think that, okay, there's actually a lot more possibilities for my life than what I've been taught or what I've been learning all my life. Like, okay, this is the serious way to be an adult. This is the right way to live your 20s. This is the perfect way to live your 30s, whatever it is you've heard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, no, the right way is my way, like Frank Sinatra. So like,
how I want to do it. Yes.
Explore it and let yourself explore it, and give yourself permission to like just do it, no matter the consequences of like, am I getting money from this? Am I getting an audience? It's just, this is the way I want to live my life, and this is my lifestyle. So just put the work, create, and then just be out there showing up for yourself.
Literally, like, make that enough. I think what broke the perfectionism bubble for me was that I tested my own boundaries. I was like, okay, so do something bad. See what, did you die? Like, do something that sucks, make a video that sucks, flop on TikTok, do it in front of all the people you know, tell everybody that you are this person, and then change your mind tomorrow, and then have to re-explain yourself. Like, do those hard things and see how you're still alive. You're okay. Things will be fine. Like, you know,
I think that's related. I think I read it somewhere or heard it somewhere that our brain, like, it hasn't evolved as much as we think. Like, we have the same brain as the people in the caverns. So we're just reacting to everything, like this fight or flight response. Like you just said, like, if I post a video and it flops, I'm going to die. And then when that happens, you're like, oh, I'm fine. Like, nothing major happened. It just didn't go well. And what did I gain? I spent time creating. I had a good time with myself, with the camera, and I created something that I want to have it live in the internet. So I gained something rather than lose something.
Exactly. And in that process, you probably got better at your craft. You're probably learning more about it, like your editing software or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, those are things that you take for granted until you've done it 100 times. And you're like, oh, I would have never learned that if I didn't fail 1,000 times, if I didn't have all those videos that flopped. And like, for me, I was even reflecting on that because it's about to be like a year of me posting on TikTok, and I'm farther than I thought I would have ever gotten, but I'm also not where I thought I would be. Right. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it just sucks. You know, like, I was like being negative. I was like, this just sucks. And like, I'm lame. Everyone else gets so much farther in their first year. Yeah. You know, I'm saying all this in the podcast because this is how I think too. I'm not calling anyone.
Yeah. I compare myself a lot too. So yeah, I understand.
And I was like, maybe I haven't reached X amount of followers, but I can for sure tell you, I know how to make a video every single day of the week. I know how to produce 3 videos a day. I know how to make a viral video. You know, like, I've done it before. And that's something I can say and keep for myself, that like, I've gained the skill. My fiance and I watch a entrepreneur. His name is Alex Hormozy. I don't know if you've seen him. He is very aggressive entrepreneur kind of person, but he has so many gems in like what he teaches and what he knows, because he's the kind of person that like fail 1,000 times, like do it until you have failed this many times, right? And so what he says is extremely valid, because you know he's put in the work. You know he's done it before. He's seen the reality. And one thing that he talks about a lot is like, you need to do something until it's like unreasonable that you won't be like successful at it. Like, you have to do something so long that doesn't make sense that you wouldn't get better or that you wouldn't learn from it. He says that a lot with sales. And but you can apply this to anything that you want to get better at. And it's like, if you are the person that can do something like that, it's not about you producing X amount of dollars in sales or $1 million, whatever. It's the skills that you learn like in the process. And he told the story about how when he basically lost everything, he was kind of doing okay in his business. He was, I think he was like flipping gyms, like making them better, like gyms around the US. He had a business partner. I think the business partner stole the money from him. I know it was a lot of money, and he had to pay the salesperson that was helping them sell their product. And after the person stole the money and he had to pay this person, he was like at zero, literally, like not even enough for him to put a roof over his head. And so he said that in that moment, I don't know if it was in that moment or this is, him reflecting on the past, that he was just like, I had nothing, right, physically. But over the past however many years, I think it was multiple years he had spent doing this, he said that he gained the skills to know how to make something work, how to make money, how to sell, how to market. And then with the skills he had learned from the past however many years, he was able to go from like $0 literally to, I think it was either less than 6 months later or 6 months later where he made $1 million in 1 month.
Wow. Okay.
I know, right?
The glow up.
I know. But this story like hits with me because it made me kind of realize like it's not about that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not about the outcome. It's what you learn in the process. Because we say this all the time to motivate ourselves, but like every successful creator, entrepreneur, if you took away everything they had, they would create the same thing again. Like they know how to create it again.
Yeah, it's more like the person you become by doing the things than the results you're getting. Because if they take like the numbers can go away. Like if YouTube decides to delete YouTube and just not exist as a platform, okay, if you are a creative person, you'll continue to be that.
Totally.
It doesn't matter how many followers you have, how many subscribers, you'll still be that person in your day-to-day. But if you are creating from a place of, I need to reach 1K subscribers by the end of the year, like I had this year, which is insane. Not even close, not gonna happen. But like that mindset was super unhealthy for me because then I was creating from a place of like, okay, this content has to be well received. This content has to be clickable instead of, am I enjoying this content? Right. Does it feel natural? Would I repeat this kind of content in the future? So like right now, like numbers don't matter. I want to be a creative person. I want to create in my life. And that's how I want to be in this world,
Yes, I love that. Because like no matter what, even if you got the subscribers or not, even if you got 100 or 1,000 subscribers and someone took it away from you, you would still be somebody who is capable of getting 1,000 subscribers. The singer that Celia is, no one can take that from her,
No,
even if
you can take away the Grammys, but she will still belt out in a bar in Barcelona and you're like, what a queen, The other thing is external. The internal thing can never be taken away. It's with you always.
You don't try to like focus on like, why can't I stop comparing myself? Why do I want things to be perfect? You just replace it with a better thought. Like you need to replace it with something that is inspiring. Okay, who's the person I want to become? How can I become better? How can I get curious about my craft? How can I do something I never thought I could do? Like literally, if you're just focused
challenge yourself, like set yourself a challenge. Yeah.